with Elon, I actually don't know where he sits in those two concepts. Like,
Right.
he just literally woke up one day and he changes whatever he wants to change.
Okay. New week, new weekend. What's up?
We are
What's
back.
up? What's good, everyone? Back with another episode of the Business and Banter podcast. Let's get straight into it. I'll start. So, I was listening to a podcast some point this week. I'm not too sure which one it was actually, but I heard somebody say that Midjourney is valued as a $1 billion company now, and they only have 11 employees, which I thought, first of all, it would be very interesting. I would hear your thoughts on that first, and then I end up doing some research, some background on it, just so I can kind of tell you a bit more about the company. But I just want to know, what are your thoughts about that? With 11 employees, be valued at $1 billion.
Oh my God. We have spoken about those, one man gig, a few people gig. This had to be the best.
Crazy, right?
This has to top all of them.
Imagine it got the valuation from essentially zero to $1 billion in less than a year.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that they built the Midjourney on top of Discord, I think, was like a big factor to them, because essentially it's kind of like, it's almost like an extension. It's not like a standalone thing. They have a website they manage, but you can't use it on there. You have to use it through Discord. So I think the fact that it's built on top of something else takes away like a massive chunk of what they of employees they have to hire to essentially run the business. But when I found the valuation now, it's pretty crazy, and it's not. I don't think they've had any crazy investment until recently either. I think it's pretty much bootstrapped all the way, which is, I mean,
wow,
it's pretty insane, right?
That is interesting.
Like literally, imagine me, you, and just 9 other guys, and we run a $1 billion company. Billion, not mil, $1 billion company. What fascinates me is you hear a lot of people like, I think you would tell me an example of people saying, oh, like, you're doing well, you're making 30-40 grand a month, and you've got 20 something employees.
Yeah,
they're making a decent amount of money, but also a large amount of that is going to
the employees.
Yeah. And then you find out something like this, where it's 11 employees, super streamlined. 11 employees, valued at $1 billion. I think they had. I think it's become the largest art, AI text to art generation platform. It's like it says 11 full-time staff members. So maybe they'll hire like a contractor to do a little bit of here and there, but they have over 250,000 users and generated over 1 million images as of August 2023. But actually, their Discord server alone has 13.6 million members. So it's and according to SimilarWeb, they get about 28.5 million visits a month, which is
I take it. All the employees have stock options. Then I would assume.
I'd imagine so. I'd imagine he was probably like one main guy, and then he probably came up with the idea. Then he probably got a few friends or a few people he trusts to do the job, to say, oh, let's come together, let's create this company, and then we just gotta drive it and try and see what we can do. And I imagine, because at that point when you start now, you don't have a lot of money, so giving them a piece of the pie was the best way to do it. So I think it's first of all, it's absolutely ridiculous. Like I've never heard anything like that.
Because usually a company starts and they do a good valuation, and then they either like start doing acquisitions of different other companies and sort of like expand their product range.
Right.
You know what I mean? And by the time they really get to a billion, they now have other things under their umbrella. But this have just sort of like got to a billion as they are and
Yeah.
streamlined like to perfection.
It's absolutely insane. I think one of the clever things they did. I think the team itself didn't worry too much about trying to get the product right. I think there's been quite a few versions of it. Excuse me, quite a few versions of it already. So according to this, the first version was, this is Wikipedia. The first version was
Yeah.
February 2022, and then April was the second version. July was the third version. November, when ChatGPT and everything blew up, of 2022, this was the fourth version, and then the fifth, and they've had three other versions in 2023. So I think they've literally just said, okay, let's make a minimum level product. Let's get it out as quickly as possible. Get the people, you know, using it. And as we see improvements coming, we just improve it little by little, little by little, little by little, little by little. And I think that's helped them, like, not only like if you see the difference between what the images were like in version one, and I think now they're at version 5.2, or just version 5 in general. Like it's a crazy visual. I'll try and find. There was an image I saw on Twitter actually that shows the comparison of all the different versions and how quickly the technology, or just the image generation has evolved. At the start, you see it's kind of like it's like mushy almost.
Yeah.
It's like telling a child to paint compared to like a compared to like a picture being taken outside, and that iterations
Yeah.
happened over 1 year, which is. Let me send you the link. Actually, I've just posted it in our on our podcast chat. But yeah, it's
Okay.
when you see, I think there's like a lesson to be learned here, because I think a lot of people would try to create something, and then initially they'll be like, okay, like the output is just not good enough, even though the technology is there. I think a lot of people will store and they'll be like, oh, this looks cartoony, doesn't look great, doesn't look
Yeah.
real, and not
Yeah, I can
understanding
see it.
that, yeah, you can see the difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Wow.
it's absolutely insane, right? The version one looks like, honestly, looks like I could draw it, and I'm not very good at art, so. And then version 5.2 looks like you're standing there taking the picture of the lady. It's absolutely crazy.
Man,
I
the
think on the pod,
change.
yeah. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, I'll put the image up as we speak about it, so you can see what we're talking about. But yeah,
Yeah, because
it's
when you see version, when you look at the version one, it's
mm,
like poor.
yeah, yeah.
But
It's like, go ahead.
by the time they got to November, is it version 4?
Mm-hmm.
There's a big difference between
Yeah,
the first three and that
uh
one.
huh, yeah. That's the
And
big
that's
difference.
around the time when as well ChatGPT came up.
Blow up, exactly.
The
So
blue, so
I think
they were
that
like, so they were there. Like it was,
it was time to perfection, literally.
yeah,
Because if it wasn't good before that, I don't think it would have caught the traction that it did. So I think they got
yeah,
really good at that point, and then ChatGPT just boosted everything in the AI sphere. So they timed it really well.
yeah,
But yeah, I think it goes to show. Like, I think as we kind of move on now, especially with this digital age, um, I think we'll see a lot more companies who are very streamlined like this. I think it costs a lot of people a lot to give out equity in the company or hire the best talent, quote unquote. I think you will start seeing people in places like Silicon Valley and that kind of thing, starting banding together, creating these
yeah,
companies as more than just a one or two people. Maybe a group of like 6 or 7, where you have enough people to really run the whole thing. And I think you'll start seeing a lot more of these companies where They don't really need to build everything. It'll be built on top of, like, I think this is a really good to build on top of a platform that's already working, is already good, and it's almost like an extension on top of that
Yeah.
platform. But it's its own thing, and that must have saved them like a massive amount um, of cost in terms of like hiring people to manage some sort of platform for people to use this. I can imagine like
Yeah.
OpenAI has a lot more employees
Yeah. Then
than
yeah,
Midjourney. I
mid-gen.
haven't looked, but I'll do a quick look now. But it's I can imagine in like
Yeah,
they
I
have
think
a
OpenAI
platform
had
needs to
more.
run. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
OpenAI is 375, which is obviously still like a low
It's
number,
still
really relatively
yeah. Yeah, that's still
relatively
a
a
low
low number.
number though.
Yeah,
Mm.
exactly. But compared to 11, it's you can see the difference. But yeah, it's pretty intriguing. I saw this and I was like, wow. I think it's something I had to tell you because
That's
it's
I'm still
like
blown away like with the number, like the number. Because usually like a company that get to like a billion,
hmm
um if you are employee number 50, like you reach.
yeah, you make serious money.
Yeah. But this is
Exactly.
like 11 employees, like
All right.
yeah,
I don't know how
that's
many pieces of
impressive.
that pie. Okay, sooner or later, someone will come and buy it. All right. I think one of the big tech
Oh
companies will
yeah,
come and sweep
definitely.
it.
Yeah, definitely. It's
And
a matter
at
who
that point,
could take it. Who could take it? Who needs it?
who needs it? I would probably say someone like Google.
I was gonna say
Someone like
Google
Google
myself as
probably
well.
need.
Alphabet don't
Yeah,
need it. Yeah.
yeah. I think Google is like not lagging behind, but kind of lagging behind.
But it's
I think Google's very safe because they've got like the biggest search engine and the second biggest with Google and YouTube. So I think because
yeah,
they're in that place where they're very comfortable. I think to push the boundaries,
yeah,
even though they have their own like AI platform, but it's nowhere near as good as Midjourney is. And obviously Microsoft have just bought OpenAI, so that's like a direct competitor. So they won't be in the race. Anyone else? So
uh-huh.
probably maybe Apple or Meta, but I don't see that happening. I think Meta have
Yeah. I don't think
their own
Meta
plans.
plus as well. Like I think Meta doesn't really like the acquisition type of, like I think when something is winning, um, they like to create a competitor
Yeah.
because like because their way of business is like, like with other ones they try and create like something that sort of like come from a totally different angle,
hmm
whereas Zuckerberg is like, okay, we're gonna take what you have and then we're gonna just add a few things and it's gonna
Yeah.
be obvious that it's from
We
yours.
took it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you
I,
know what I mean, like it's
I was listening
it's like this
to
was yours.
Business Wars for was one of our favorite
Yeah.
podcasts. For those who haven't listened to it,
Oh,
I'd highly
love it.
recommend it.
It's the
Yeah,
best podcast out
yeah,
there. Like
yeah. It's
nothing
crazy.
matches it.
Yeah, really, really high quality. The kind of like almost act out scenarios, and it's like you kind of see the back and forth between the different businesses as they get built up, and their clashes and which of the move that one side makes for the other. I was listening to Snapchat versus Facebook, and
Yeah.
you see obviously Zuck makes Facebook, it becomes big. Instagram comes in. He didn't even try and copy that. I think he liked the technology, so he bought that for like a billion or whatever it was. And then
Yeah.
Snapchat came through, and he didn't try to buy Snapchat, and he made a direct competitor called Poke, which basically took the exactly what Snapchat did, called Poke, launched it,
Yeah.
but he kind of underestimated how popular Snapchat was, and it wasn't super big. So then in the community, a lot of people then said, "Oh, like who's this company that Snapchat's trying to copy?" And that actually helped Snapchat grow. So
Yeah.
obviously that's like you're saying, like they didn't try and buy it. They created a almost like an exact copy first, and then Pog didn't work out so well, so they tried to buy Snapchat, and then obviously we know how it went after that. Snapchat, Ever Spiegel and whoever the other owner is, co-founder, sorry, said no. And this came and took their features, put it on Instagram, and that was that was it. I mean, Snapchat's not dead, but it might as well
But
be at this point.
yeah, the thing is, it's sort of like, remember we are talking in our last podcast, I think, or the one before, when we were talking
Yeah,
about Twitter, which is now X, which is something we
yeah,
need to talk about.
yeah. We do. Yeah, we haven't touched on that yet.
Yeah, and we were
Mm.
talking about, I think you asked me, what do I think it's
Threads.
gonna happen, with Threads and Twitter. And I think it's exactly the same thing with Snapchat,
Mm.
where like when Zuckerberg sit on that pot, like he ain't moving.
Oh yeah,
Like he's not shaking
absolutely.
off. Yeah, he'll be fine with you being second, but
Hmm.
you just always gonna be second. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Because when he takes that first spot, you are not taking it. Like, and that's the thing with Snapchat, where they're sitting wherever they are, and they're always gonna be there.
yeah.
And the same with X.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah,
they're
let's let's
always
let's
gonna
touch
be.
let's touch on that actually. We haven't spoke about it. What were your initial thoughts when you saw the rebrand?
Um, I think with Elon,
Hmm.
like sometimes I actually struggle to understand what he's trying to do. I
Right.
know the guy is a genius in many ways,
Hmm.
but I think his marketing, it's it's very difficult to try and understand what is he trying to build, because
Right.
uh, I think in marketing you have like a house of brands, I think, and then you have branded house, right?
Yeah. Explain
And
that
the
to me.
concept, yeah, the concept being, um, like a branded house, it's like it maintains a focus on like like a single name, right? It's
Hmm.
like Google. It's like Google Suite, Google Docs, Google. It's all
All based
like
around the name Google.
all based around that brand.
Right.
It's very consistent.
Okay.
Whereas like um like House of Brands, it's
Yeah.
like a basically it's what it says in the name. It's a
Hmm.
house of many brands. So it's like there's many things that comes out of the same brand, but like what do you call it? Bernard,
Oh no.
is it? I know.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. LVMH.
That's a house of brands. Each
Right.
brand stands on its own. You know what I mean? I know, like when you look at Google, they have Alphabet,
Right.
which is sort of like the concept for them. It's more like a hybrid, sort of like branded house, but it still operates like a branded house
Mm.
because most of their products, they are more or less brand like Google. You know what I mean? And with Elon, I actually don't know where he sits in those two concepts. Like
Right.
he just literally woke up one day and he changes whatever he wants to change. And and he he would have like a brand,
Mm.
and literally it was Twitter, and he just decided it's X.
Yeah.
And I think on their head office, I was listening to some guy somewhere talking about it. They put like a massive sign X on top of their head office, but it's like,
Mm.
and it's like it was flashing like like lights on it.
Okay.
and it kept people at work like the whole night, something
Of
like
course
that.
it did.
Like I don't think any other brand would do that
All right.
because like you'd be like, oh, that's not gonna look good. People get fired. Elon's brands, like they can do that
Hmm.
because he is kind of that type of guy where he just does it.
It does what it wants.
So I
And
think he's good at what he does,
mm,
but I normally try not to put my money on Elon. It's because he's
yeah,
sort of like one thing away from effing it up.
destruction.
Like he's a
Yeah.
genius in other things, but I think the things he doesn't understand, he doesn't understand. Do you know what I
Mm.
mean? And he does these things where like he pushes the envelope so much. It's only a matter of time. Like remember I made the bet that but the year is moving that probably by the end of this year like something major will happen where he will
Oh
lose like
yeah.
ridiculous amount of money.
Yeah.
Like Tesla would just tip over,
Mm.
like something just would just happen,
Right.
and it'll be based on his decisions. Like he just
Mm.
does things
Mm-hmm.
that
For
he
the sake
just
of it.
I don't know why he does it. I don't know what you think about the change into X.
Well, you see, I think it's hard with Elon because I think I agree with you. He's like he's a proper genius. He's like Kanye West, right? Where
Yeah,
like we know he's a genius. It's undoubtable. But I almost feel like they get bored or they like the attention outside of their work and they do things just to for the sake of doing things. And they don't care if
yeah,
they rub people the wrong way, which is fine, but it has to yeah, you have to understand that that affects the brands that you've built or the everything that you've built it affects it directly. So I think the whole because I think he had X.com from like 19 somewhere in the 90s. I think the actual domain X.com.
yeah. Because you see, X.com.
Mm,
You see, he's so obsessed with X.com.
yeah,
If you listen to or read the story of PayPal,
yeah,
if you ever like had a chance to touch up on that story, you remember like they were competitors, X and PayPal, and then they came together and somehow he sort of like made himself somehow he made it to the top, and so he was like
mm,
the chief executive of some sort,
right,
and he changed, I think overnight he changed the brand, everything, he changed it to X. That's how he ended up sort of like that didn't work out
okay,
because yeah, they had to push him out, like they had to do a Steve Jobs on him
right,
because he had done the same thing with X.
mm,
And like I've listened to the story like maybe a couple years ago, so now like my version of it's a bit messed up, but
mm-hmm.
one thing I know is he already had X.com and he wanted everything to be X.com.
Yeah, it makes
And then
that,
like the I think it sort of like split the office. You have to remember their office had people from PayPal. Is it Levchin? I forgot his name, the guy from PayPal. And then they had people from X X.com. And
right.
they were all working together. When he did that, he split the group,
The office, okay,
because those who are loyal with, like he made it sort of like very difficult. So they couldn't get the group back in together.
mm-hmm.
And I think they had to push him out,
All
basically.
right, okay,
They had to push him out of it. And I think he holds that, and people like him, they can either lose or they win. They do not compromise. Steve
yeah,
Jobs was exactly the same thing. Like he had his vision
mm-hmm.
and he solely believed that like you have to do the way I'm telling you to do because this is the winning way. And it's very
Right,
difficult. And sometimes that's the only way you can win. Not necessarily mean your vision is the correct one. It's
Mm-hmm.
because you have imposed that vision on everybody, and people will not remember what was the alternative.
Right.
So when it works, people don't remember, the other version.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
And I think that's exactly the same thing with Elon. He's so obsessed with X, and he'll put it on anything he wants. You know what I mean? Just woke up, it's now
Hop
X.
on X.
Yeah.
Well,
So
it's
he's had this domain for a long time.
I think one of his things he said was that X is like he wants it to be the everything app, right? Which is like I don't
Yeah.
know what that means, obviously, but I think he wants to use Twitter as the basis of that, which
Yeah.
is interesting. But I mean, this is the thing. Like we're sitting there talking about it. At the end of the day, like as much as I wouldn't put my money against it, I mean on Elon because it's you either make 50 million or zero. I also
Yeah.
wouldn't put my money against him because he has so many wins under his belt,
No, you
and
you
this could
can't put your
literally
money against him.
yeah, and that's the tough part because this we could sit here and say why is he renaming this, and then X starts off at Twitter. He adds a couple more features that allow us to do. It's like what's the app in China
WeChat.
that does everything? Yeah,
WeChat.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. So if he ends up putting a couple more features like WeChat has, and then we'll start realizing, oh,
But
maybe
here's the
this is
thing
what he
though.
wants. Mm,
You see, I thought about that like whenever I heard about the X,
yeah.
and I thought, oh, you know what? He could make this work. But here's the problem. For
Mm,
for anybody to create something like WeChat, you have to play the game. You have to compromise, because now you're talking like like it's like you need different licenses. Like, can you imagine Elon Musk getting like creating a fintech company and actually getting like whatever you call them in America, the what's House of what, them guys, those old ones,
um, I'm not sure.
representatives.
All
I
right,
think it's
and
House of Representatives,
yeah,
where
I don't know what you
everybody's
call it.
fucking old. That
Yeah, we
one.
call it House of Parliament here, but yeah.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
I think here they have old guys too. They have House of Lords. That's them old ones too here,
Oh
but they
yeah,
don't do anything.
yeah. That's
So
what we
imagine
think anyway.
him. Wow, I know they don't do anything. I would love to do what they do. um, Imagine him trying to submit like a fintech application
Mm,
and try to get a license to move money. He won't
right.
get it.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No, he rubs everybody the wrong way.
Yeah, but
Like he won't do. The thing
I
is,
think it's part of the persona. You see, like Elon is. I think he likes being this character, but I think when it comes to business, he's actually very shrewd. Yeah, you have to remember. Remember.
no. Like my point is, there's certain things where you need to play the game,
Right, I get what you're saying. Okay, fair
and
point.
and some of these things, by playing the game means keeping your mouth shut
Shut.
and
Right.
allow the people that are doing that job to do the talking,
Mm,
where you are nowhere to be found. Do you know
mm-hmm,
what I mean?
mm,
Like, like you can look at people that have like really monopolized certain areas. It's because when they were doing it, they were not talking about it. Murdoch was
yeah.
not talking about it.
Mm-hmm,
Do you know what I mean? Like he wasn't talking about it. He was wiping the whole media thing in America quietly. He left there,
right.
came over to UK, and he was doing the same.
Mm,
Like, you know what I mean? He was the Sun, he was the whatever, like loads of them. Like he was just
mm,
like taking them in, taking them in, taking them in, taking them in. That's the only way you can sort of like create these sort of like monopoly type of businesses where by the time they start to put the law to say you can't grow any further, you already have
mm.
60-70% of the market. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
trying to stop Gillette from acquiring small companies. They don't need to.
Yeah.
They own most of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they own. And here's the thing: not only do Gillette own most of it,
Mm,
now they also control the lobby the government like to the core. Like remember
Yeah.
we spoke about the that razor company Harry's,
Mm-hmm.
right? When they started, I'm not sure exactly the figure. I think Gillette had like 70 or 80% of the market share,
Mm.
right? And that Harry started, and then they wanted to buy the factory that, oh, I think they actually bought the factory in Germany, I think, or Italy, Germany, I think. And they bought the factory. And then when they bought the factory, then they wanted to buy one of their competitors. And they were stopped from doing it.
Mm.
The deal was already done. They were stopped from doing it. You know why? Because of anti-monopoly sort of like policies.
Lowest, right?
Okay, here's the thing. How can someone have a monopoly like when someone already has 70%?
Yeah.
You seriously, like
Yeah.
if someone has 70%, you can literally allow the other one to buy all of them so that they have
Yeah.
30%.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
no, that makes the fight a little bit fair. It's because Gillette now they're like pointing and say, "Oh, look at them. They're trying to buy everybody. How is that legal?"
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
Mm.
that's why you have to do it quietly. You do it for so long and you do it quietly.
Mm.
And by the time, you know, everybody talks about you having a monopoly, the only thing is you now have to fight a totally different fight, which is Amazon is fighting right now because they're trying to split Amazon.
Yeah.
Do
But
you
you
know what I
see,
mean?
I think once you get to that level of influence, it's hard because see, I think Bezos, as much as he's fighting the fight, or they're saying they're trying to split it up. I think it's like a publicity thing. I think it's like a media thing. The government needs to look like they're doing the right thing. I think Bezos also knows how to play the game.
Oh yeah, that's my point. Like you
You
have to know
understand?
how to play the game. But I
Mm,
think the issue with Amazon, which I think it's a serious thing for them. I think it's a serious thing. It won't surprise me to see. I don't think it'd be good for consumers. I don't think it'd be good for small business and medium businesses that trade through Amazon if they get split. Because
mm,
um, if they take away their delivery service from the core e-commerce of Amazon, that
right.
means you see the price of our Prime goes up
Mm-hmm.
because now the delivery side of Amazon would need to make money
Make a profit. Mm.
because it's now a
Not
standalone.
funded by it's not funded
It's
by
not funded.
AWS or whatever.
You know what I mean? And then
Mm-hmm.
if you pull out AWS and put them on their own, then the e-commerce side of things will now need to make money too.
You're right.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So the price goes up. Um, like everything just sort of like goes up, and they probably still will be cheaper than almost everybody else,
Mm-hmm.
but they won't be as cheap as they are. So
If they
the
are, yeah.
consumer, yeah, the consumer suffers, and then the price to sell on Amazon goes up, and that kills small businesses.
You're right.
So the only player that wins is Amazon
It's Amazon.
because they'll win, but in a totally different way.
Mm.
You know what I mean? They'll win, but with sort of like, the e-commerce side of Amazon will start charging more, and then will start sort of like kill off all these small businesses, and they have deals with like UPS and all that where you can ship your FBA products to Amazon for like a very cheap price. They'll take that
Mm.
away
Mm.
because by taking that away, now you have to find your way to get your products to Amazon. When
Right.
I first started selling on Amazon, like you'd have to find your way. You could actually drive to Amazon depot and drop your stuff.
You're right.
Um, but now there's no point, like because with UPS, I think you only pay like it's probably 30% of the actual cost to ship your products there. So I think it's a difficult one, but they will have to fight it. But if the government really, I'm talking the US government, if they
Mm.
really want to split it, they could, because let's be honest, that's a lot of companies running out of that Amazon,
But this,
which is
this is this is my
different.
point. Do you not
Mm.
think? Do you not think it's not even in the government's best interest to split up Amazon? Like, I'm not sure what it's like in America, but
I think
just in
it's
the
in their
UK
best
alone,
interest. I think it's in their best interest
Okay.
because mm,
Let me give you just what I think, just based on what I'm seeing in the UK. You see, if I drive from Birmingham to London, I probably pass 5 or 6 different dedicated big spaces, factories, not a single factory, spaces full of Amazon delivery places, right? And there's a
yeah,
new one getting built up every couple of months. I drive and I'm like, oh my god, there's a new one there, new one there, new one there. So Amazon itself, just alone as a company in the UK, must generate so much uh, business, so much jobs, so many jobs, so much business, so much money for the government in tax or whatever it is. It's almost
yeah.
like it provides so much stability that it's not in the best interest for the government to split it up. You know what I'm saying? They want it to
No,
grow really and truly.
yeah, but here's the thing though.
Mm,
It's different if you are trying to split like a regional company. Do you know what I
mm,
mean? Where you're like, oh, you know what? You are monopolizing this, whatever that is.
mm,
We're gonna have to split you. The bit that does logistics it has to do on their own. The maintenance kind of side they have to be on their own. The whatever
mm-hmm.
that's different. Where with Amazon, they know it's not like they're gonna go out of business. It's not like they're gonna refuse to trade. Do you know what I mean? Like they
Right.
won't stop trading. But here's the thing: if they split Amazon, you see those warehouses you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
they'll have to double because within those warehouses, that's where they do e-commerce. So all the FBA products are stored in there,
Mm-hmm.
and also the Amazon trucks are centered there too. You get me?
I
So if they
see. I
split
see.
the company, that means those trucks needs to leave that site, or they have to pay, the other company to park them there.
To part them there. So what?
Do you
What?
know
So
what I
what?
mean?
What benefit does that give the government? Is it a control thing? What? What is it?
Yeah, control. It's easier to control smaller, because
Mm.
as they get bigger, it's difficult to negotiate with Amazon. If they
Right.
want something, you have to give them
Yeah. Yeah.
because they're just too big.
Yeah. Mm.
They control. It's the same like with media. Like the Murdoch issue.
Mm.
It came from where they could control narrative like 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 no other.
Mm.
So you won't get like it's like if they're controlling like 5 newspapers and they're like the top 10, so they are 50% of the newspapers, and if they
Yeah.
want to run, if they decide they want this party to win, then that party will win
Yeah.
because they can release like polls and say, oh, this is the party that's gonna win according to our polls.
Mm.
If they don't want a party, they can keep all the stories they get through the campaign, release them just before the elections,
Right.
and just sort of like drop them. So I think if it's like Amazon as it is, it's difficult to really for the government to try and fight Amazon.
Mm.
They are way too big. They control a lot of stuff.
Do you not ever
But
think that that they're already there? Mm.
if you split them, they would be part of Amazon that would be difficult to really piss off. Maybe AWS would
Mm.
be one of them.
Right.
But I don't think they'll care about the procurement, like the logistics of Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Because they know if that if they don't play ball, the government can easily come in and say, okay, you are not playing ball. From now on, your contract with Amazon, whatever, Amazon e-commerce, it's
Mm-hmm.
void. And then that contract will be split among UPS, DHL, DPD, all these
Right.
other ones will be
Mm.
given that contract. And
Mm-hmm.
then they run it. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Whereas they're always going to have issues with AWS.
Mm.
But I think they would rather have AWS know what they know, run what they run, but not sharing that same secrets
with
with
the
their
rest of them.
e-commerce, with the rest of the company. So
Mm-hmm.
if AWS know what they know and they're a totally different company, they can't share that info with the other bits.
Mm.
I think that's what probably they'll be trying to do. But the problem is
I
with this,
really,
it's more a US problem
it is, yeah.
that will become everybody's problem. If
Mm-hmm.
America doesn't like it, then we don't like it. We just have to cheer for America to go for it. If America likes it, we have no choice. We have to like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Excuse me.
And that's the
Yeah.
tricky
Okay.
thing.
Yeah, I think it'll be.
Where were we? We just segued into this. Uh,
Yeah. This is how our
um,
conversations go.
yeah, I have actually. Did you see the WeWork?
I have
WeWork.
seen WeWork,
Yep, WeWork. WeWork could go out of business.
but people have been saying WeWork is going out of business for the last 2 years,
No, no, no.
and I
Believe
still see
me.
that. I still see them everywhere. Well, not
I
everywhere, but
think
you know.
I think WeWork now. Let me pull up what I was reading. I
Mm.
think now they are at a position where it's a bit worse than it was before.
Okay.
Okay, at their peak, they were valuated at 47 billion, right? And that was before. Remember, they tried to go to IPO in 2019,
Uh-huh.
and at that point, I think they were valued at 47 billion, and then they had issues with whatever the CEO was, whatever his name was, the guy, and since then, I think they managed to go public in 2021 for a much lower valuation, and then ever since, I think some Japanese bank, SoftBank, I think it's called, yeah, SoftBank. I think they pumped in like 10 billion. They've been losing money like basically every time. Do
Mm-hmm.
you know on Wednesday their let me open where I was. Their valuation was 260 million.
Whew.
Their stock was trading at 13 cents.
Oh my.
That is, I think they are going out of business.
Oh goodness me.
Yep. So from 47 billion to 260
Million.
million.
Wow.
That is some slump. Like even just for them to recover, like what can they recover to be? Because here's the thing: what makes their business um, appealing is the idea of like remote working, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Here's another thing that I found this week,
Mm.
which puts the remote working into another sort of question: if it's going as they've been reporting or if it's going the other way. Because I was reading, I think it was in Forbes, I think
Mm.
someone had put up like a whatever, like a study thing showing that it's looking more and more that companies are starting to ask their employees to come
To
back into
come
the
back into
office,
the office. Yeah.
even though most of them is like 2 days, 3 days. And do you know when I was reading it, and I think because I read that story, my Google read with me, and
Mm.
I got like a ping of another story, like from the RSS feed from Google,
Yeah.
and it was what do you call the video, Zoom.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Zoom have just asked their employees to come back into the office.
Oh wow.
If they can ask their employees to come back in the office, do you know what I mean? They
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
meant to be
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
biggest advocate
The
for remote
irony.
working. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
they're asking their employees to come back in the
To
office.
come back into the
That
office.
is not good. That is really something else. So when I saw that, I was like, when I read the Forbes one, I was like, okay, like people put things out. But when he says like the chief executive for Zoom, I think it's Eric,
Mm.
whatever his name is, Yon, whatever his name. Like he had put up, like I think there was a letter that he sent to his um employees or something, pretty much drawing a conclusion to the 100% Zoom remote working. I think in the letter, literally like stated that it's like an end of an era.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, so I think they'll be
That's
doing like
interesting.
2 days or something.
But you know what it is? I hear a lot of like leadership level people, a lot of CEOs come out and say that. I
Mm,
think even like Elon, Zach, all these people kind of say that.
yeah,
But do you think? Obviously, they believe that because I think they try to squeeze as much as they can out of the employees. But do you really
mm.
think like it will head back to everyone's traveling to the office every single day, or do you think like since the pandemic, people have been used to actually getting work done at home and have really adjusted to that kind of lifestyle, and it will be like too disruptive to try and get everyone to go back into the office? Or do you think it'll be like
I
a
think it'd be
half half,
more.
where it's like a couple of days in?
I think it'd be more a hybrid, and
Mm,
and I don't think this is driven because of productivity. I don't think so.
what do you think it is?
I think there's more. I think there's more to this because you think about this. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, me and you own some crazy company in the Midlands, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we do whatever we do. Let's say we look after the sewers in the Midlands,
Right.
and we have like a
Yeah.
massive office in Birmingham. And then
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden, we're like, you know what? We don't need this. Let's get rid of this. Get a smaller office. Put some pop up like storages across the Midlands. People can go over there, pick up their tools, and doesn't have to come to the office. Only come to like a depot to pick up more tools to put in this, storage, and they just work off there.
Right.
I think
Mm-hmm.
the problem is not because this doesn't work. I think this will work because people I think people do more when they don't have like a leash on them, when they just know what they have to do. But I think the
Mm-hmm.
problem sometimes is if me and you own a company and we had a massive building in Birmingham, there's two things here. That building probably belonged to like some company that was making money off us for the past 15 years, and that
Right.
company can afford to lose money because it's more, it's like when you look like the companies that like have pensions, they always buy these old buildings that nobody uses, right? Because they don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's that part. So what happens if everybody ended up buying these buildings, but now they care, they want people in those buildings for them to make
Mm.
money? And then there's another element. If you take away my ability to operate from a certain office, especially a certain size of an office, I can't write that
Mm.
off because I don't have it.
I
So,
see.
you know what I mean? Like, there's a tax play here where when you have a massive office, you can write off whatever you want because it's a massive office. Do you know what I mean?
It is, but
Because you're gonna have, yeah,
oh,
you're
go
gonna
on.
have a cleaning company which is a subsidiary to your company that cleans
Mm-hmm.
this. So you throw away like a couple million to them for cleaning that, and then you're also gonna have like a servicing company which comes and do the lights, and then you're gonna give them like a good chunk for it, right? And then that company is growing on its own instead of like doing anything. That company which does like property management is now growing and managing other companies outside your company, and it's like an umbrella. And I think these things start to play like a massive role because a company like Zoom, if they don't have like people going to the office and like even like an office of some sort, and everything is
Mm.
100% remote, I think every business has to figure out how do they write some things off. If you don't have a way to write some things off, then it sort of defeats the purpose of business.
But do you not think you can have those expenses without having to essentially upset the employee base? You know what I'm saying? Your workers, if they're highly productive at home, why force them to come in?
Well, they're highly productive at home. I don't think anybody is highly productive at home. People are highly productive at work. You know, because here's the
Yeah,
thing.
but I mean, if you go to an
Believe
office, I
me,
don't really think people are highly productive there either.
I think people are very highly productive at work. That's why Facebook have not only toilets, they have a canteen, they have beds if you want them, they'll do your car service, they do all these things because they know when you are there. I think what happens is if you are working from home, it's more like you get all your work done probably quicker than you would, because when you're at work you pace your way to the end of the day. You might pace,
Mm-hmm.
how you send these work in. I mean, you might drop feed them through the day, but I
Right,
don't think
right.
anybody does way more work at home. I think we do way less work at work anyway. Like
Yeah,
nobody
I think
does,
I think I
like.
think I think I think there's a social element in the office that you see a lot of
Mm.
people will go to the canteen. Oh, let's get a cup of tea, and you know what I'm saying, like the actual hours of dedicated work that people do, I think are less in the office than they are
Yeah,
at home. I've always thought the play was more of like a culture thing. I think it's hard to cultivate a culture when everyone's at home, and I
that
think a
is
lot of
true.
people, a lot of companies like to have people work a certain way. Like I remember when I used to go into the office, people
Mm.
would, you go from one company to the other, and even without knowing it, people would clock out and go to lunch for like a certain. Some places would like people are scared to go to lunch, and it's like universal throughout the company.
Yeah,
In some places, people go out to lunch every Friday. They do this after work on a Wednesday. People do this. The managers get to know the rest of their employees a little bit better. It's a little bit easier to work for them because now you have a little bit of trust. They open up a little more because you've gone to the pub to have drinks or whatever. And I think that cultivates a culture within the company
yeah.
itself. So I've always thought like a cultural fit was the reason that people wanted, these C-level people wanted employees to come back into the office, and at that level, I think it makes sense.
Yeah, I
But
think you
I
brought
mean, if yeah, go ahead.
sorry, you brought a very good point there with the culture. It's
Mm,
very difficult to build like a uniform culture uh, via Zoom. I think when you have the human contact, the human element, where people
mm,
actually meet at work and sort of like have that, like what this company is about. Whereas I think as Zoom,
yeah,
the job can be done, but I think you might
yeah,
churn
but the
a lot
culture
of
is
people
hard.
through. Yeah, you might churn,
It is
and
hard.
at the same time as
And,
well, I would love to know the figures for mental health,
all right.
because imagine like you see the high performing people, like people like you, Trevor, uh software kind of people.
Yeah.
Like I think for well, you are not like the stereotypical software kind of person, but
Yeah.
the
Far from it.
majority, I think, not. I know the majority not given the opportunity to be in a room with other people. I
Mm,
think they can easily isolate them and get the job done. But I think going to work, most people, like as an adult, you make all your friends at work. You know what I mean? Like you meet
yeah, yeah, yeah.
someone at work and then you just get to know each
Mm-hmm.
other. You figure out who you like, who you don't. Some people at work, you just greet them when you come in. You don't say goodbye to them when you're done. Like that's it. It's,
Yeah.
and then there's some people where you're like, oh, I never thought I would like people like him. It's because you're there with them.
Mm,
But I think just to come through on Zoom and then leave, there's people there that will never connect, because if
Right.
there's like a hierarchy, and then there's other people that just answer the question or present the thing they have to present, they never gonna
Mm.
make friendship with the people that are at their level, because they don't get the opportunity, to communicate. So I think
Right.
that
Yeah.
they probably I can't see 100% back in the office, but it might be more like a 2-day back in the office, 1 day back in the office kind of thing, the hybrid style,
Mm.
where it allows
Mm-hmm.
people, and I think it'd be good for mental health, and I still think it has to be optional. Wow, still optional would be bad, because
It's
most
tough,
people
right?
take the option not to go,
Because
but
people won't go.
but
People
it
will
will
go.
be,
Yeah. No way.
yeah. But I think for people's mental health, we need that human interaction. Like it's
Yeah.
very,
Well,
very
I
important.
also do think. Sorry, not to cut you off. I also do think there's an aspect of the work. I think that actually works better online. I think, not online, sorry, in person. I think I think things like planning and stuff like that, where you want everyone involved. You want all the team members to kind of be involved in it, or like, what's your thoughts? I think it's easy for people to hide behind cameras. They turn their camera off, and
Yeah,
whether people like it or not, especially like in tech, very people are very introverted. They don't really like to talk. They don't really. Well, in person, they're pushed to kind of give your opinion. You're involved in these team discussions. We make decisions about how things are made and all of that together. And I
yeah,
think those kind of aspects of a company, the softer side of the softer skills, the planning, the management, actually works better online. And I think that's why you see like C-level people, they can see the benefit of it, even if like the highly technical engineers or whatever don't really um, want to, or would rather not be, or would prefer to be at home. But it's an interesting trend, because I think it's funny because this podcast we've talked about the two opposites. We've talked about Mid Journey, who has 11 employees, which I'm
yeah.
pretty sure they all work at home, right? And they managed to build a
Listen,
billion-dollar
if
company.
if they have 11, right? I would
Yeah,
say maybe 6 have met in person before.
yeah, and that's
There's
as far as it
another
gets.
there's another 5, right? There's another
Mm,
5 who are in totally different countries, have never
yeah,
even been in the States, have no plans to.
yeah,
probably
they
a
never will.
probably a few flight. And not only that, and
Yeah.
and not only that, there's probably one there who
Mm.
they've only seen once
The other
in
five,
person.
yeah, they
Like,
only said the other five
yeah,
ones, and they live
yeah,
across the road. But he just doesn't like coming out of his house.
yeah.
Absolutely,
It's,
absolutely, it's so funny.
definitely. So it's yeah, those
Tech
people.
is just
So I guarantee you, those 11, they don't
mm,
go for dinners.
yeah, they
If
definitely
something good
don't.
happens,
Absolutely
they do a virtual celebration.
not.
They
And
just
that's it.
send each other
And
like
even
an
that's
email to
forced.
say,
And it's one. And there's the one like one extrovert. He's like the marketing guy or whatever. And he's the one who's
yeah.
always trying to get everyone to go party, and everyone's just like, no, it's okay.
No, but people are just coming up with
I
all
want to play
sorts.
some. Yeah, yeah. It's always some nonsense. They're just trying to play computer games after they finish work. That's what they do. They have
Never
no.
mind
Them
after
guys
the.
like, I just want to go party.
Never mind. I saw a post today somewhere which says, no, I think my wife actually sent this to me. It says,
Mm.
um, I think something to do with, do you know why your boyfriend replies you every 25 minutes or so? And
Mm.
then at the bottom he says, because that's when there's like a break in a game. Either they get killed, either
Yeah,
they get
yeah,
killed,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
then they're
And then the game's
reloading,
finished.
they're coming back in.
And it's absolutely true. Wow.
And that is true. They are
Yeah,
busy.
it is very true. And that's
They-
exactly what's happening
yeah, they're
with these
busy.
tech
I
guys. They're
have.
busy playing.
Do you know I have one? I've spoke about this. I don't know. Do you have time for me to go for this one or?
Yeah, let's do one more. One.
Okay. I have, you know, I'm fascinated. I think we spoke about the Formula One business model, like the
Mm,
actual like Formula One Inc., which is
right.
owned by Liberty Media.
Mm-hmm.
I I would love for us to try and find other businesses which doesn't carry as much weight but makes as much money. Here's the thing.
Mm,
Formula One is a company. They make most of their money from three distinct um, operations.
ways. Yeah.
Yeah, wait, sorry. Um,
Mm-hmm, yeah.
is the race promotion,
Mm-hmm.
media rights, and sponsorship.
Right.
Formula One, when they go through maybe 20 or so countries to stage Formula One, they
Mm-hmm.
don't promote the race. Like they don't actually like actively put the race and promote it. There
Mm-hmm.
is promoters for that. They don't own the race
Correct. Yeah.
the race tracks. Most of the times the
Mm,
countries or some big organizations in those countries owns them. So, for example, they are going to Las Vegas in about 3 months for the first time.
okay.
People have
All
wanted
right.
a
Yeah.
race in Las Vegas. And I think the last time when we spoke about Formula One, we spoke about they all pay entry fee, which is between
Mm-hmm.
15 and 50 million. And to be
Mm,
honest, it's not even between 15, it's probably between 35 and 50 million. There's only one country
right.
or one race that pays 15, which is Monaco, because of
Monaco.
like
Yeah.
legacy deal they have with them. Everybody else pays
Yeah.
30 to 50 million just entry, just for Formula One to say yes, you can go and race in that country.
Mm,
And then they'll also get cuts of different things that happens within the race and promotions and TV rights and stuff like that. I think the only TV rights they didn't really get a good cut was the Monaco, but it's changing as well.
okay.
And Las Vegas gonna be paying 50 million, right, to stage the race.
Mm,
And then Formula One have made another decision, which is let's just extend your contract. They haven't, mind you, they haven't done the first race. They've extended the contract to a 10-year contract, which means they're guaranteed 500 million in the next
500
10
million
years
of
from
Vegas alone.
um, Vegas alone. I would love to know how many people works for Formula One, because there's nothing to it. You know what I mean? There's nothing to it.
yeah,
They
yeah,
don't
yeah,
have,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, they have like these chief executives and presidents and all this, but there's nothing to it. They will have a couple people that
Right.
shows up at the race that representing,
Mm,
but they don't bring a truck. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And and the most interesting thing is, you see, the Saudis tried to buy
Mm,
Formula One. Remember, we spoke about. I think they bought it for like some stupid amount, which was very low, maybe 4 billion or something. The
right.
Saudis tried to buy Formula One from Liberty Media for 20 billion recently, and guess what?
Mm,
Liberty Media did not even entertain it.
wow.
How could they? Like, but how could they? They are getting 500 million just from Las Vegas before a race is done, just for them to
yeah.
have the license. The track could be flooded,
Mm,
right? They have to pay
yeah.
because it's a license
Crazy.
fee. It's up to them whether they manage to stage the race or not. And then
Or not.
there's
Mm,
all these other races. Like I think now they have like 22 race calendar right now. They're trying to get to 24 or something like that. Imagine if they're averaging like 30 million, like that's on the conservative
mm,
side, 30 million per race. You're
That's
talking 600 and
crazy, man.
something. 600 and something million just from fees alone. I would
Yeah.
love to know if there is another business model, because when you look at like FIFA have money, like they have serious
Mm-hmm.
money. But here's the thing:
Yeah, yeah.
they still have to organize stuff.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They have to organize
All the
things.
time,
They
yeah.
have to arrange training for their referees. They have to do all sorts. They organize
Yeah,
the
yeah.
FIFA World Cup, FIFA Club World Cup, all these things. They organize it themselves. They do all that.
Mm-hmm.
Formula One does not do
Mm-hmm.
that. They don't do that. They just go, guys, you go race. And I think there's money in trying to set up that style of, like, it's probably hard, but I think if companies can set this up and literally create, where it's like, you know what, we take, let's say, like UFC, for example. You say, like, you know
Mm-hmm.
what, we're gonna allow, people to have licenses. You can have your UFC, uh like UK, UFC, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and then you run that. We only allow you to do uh maybe 15 pay-per-views per year, and
Yeah.
they rarely clash with the other ones. And you have like US doing a couple, you have like whatever other countries doing a couple, and then
Mm-hmm.
UFC as a whole just do a crazy WrestleMania style of an event once a year. So it's like you're getting champions from all these places. They just
Yeah,
show up for
yeah,
the
yeah.
WrestleMania style, and that's the only thing that UFC
That
controls.
they actually do. Mm-hmm.
That they actually organize, you know, I think they just be,
You
well,
know
they're
what?
already making money, but I think that style, it might not be UFC because it's already sort of like making money running on its own, but it could be in other
Mm-hmm.
sports. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
It's fascinating. It's
It
fascinating
could
because
just
you
be in
see this
other
business
sports.
model you speak of. This business model you speak of is what people rave, like Uber and Airbnb, talking about. They're saying they own nothing. They just let people, they don't own the cars. Like I said for Uber, for example, they own no cars, no buildings, blah blah blah. They
Yeah,
just manage it all. They just connect the dots, and it's
they
like,
have the platform.
yeah, and it's funny because like you would think Formula One is, but it's exactly that.
It's
It's
exactly
literally
that.
exactly that.
It's literally
That's a
that. And I
fascinating one.
actually think it's exactly that and better. Because when you look
Yeah.
at Uber, Uber cares about how your pictures looks like. So they have people
Mm-hmm.
that they employ. I think the guys that started
Mm-hmm.
Uber, they did that themselves. They would have gone and take pictures. I think at some point, like
Airbnb.
either I read or listened to the story.
Airbnb is the brand.
Airbnb, sorry, Airbnb. Sorry, I'm saying
Yeah.
the wrong one. Airbnb. They would have gone and take the pictures for the
Yeah.
clients
Of the place. Yeah.
themselves, edit them, and so they literally had their hands dirty. And I think they still do try to make sure
Mm-hmm.
they have like packages where they can send you like a photographer, like, and like
Yeah.
different type of people that can actually come and do a consultancy and help you to get this. I don't think Formula One even
Yeah.
do that. I think
Yeah. And I was
Formula
gonna say
One
there's
just
like a
say,
level.
they just put the rules and say this is the
Tell
rules. The rules are like this, so you build your circuit to these rules. They
me.
don't even tell you like how your circuit has to look. You make it look whichever way you want it to look. It's like
Yeah.
when the
Yeah.
Saudis and the Qatarians, when they came in to Formula One, do you know what they did?
Mm.
They went and
Mm-hmm.
did this. They said, you know what? We're going to put our circuit. They took the best corner at Silverstone, best corner, like best chicane at Spa,
Oh
like
wow.
good. Their circuits, if you watch Jeddah or any of them, if you watch them, everything, like you used to play Formula One with me, like the games before.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
From your memory of playing Formula One, if you watch a race in Arabia, like you would find the second, like some of the corners, some of the straights, they're exactly like another one. They literally took
Wow.
pieces of other restricts to make their restricts.
Man, the Middle East is doing it different, you know. And you know
So
what?
it's
To finish
it's
up,
yeah,
I wanted to ask a question. You know, this Formula One, we just spoke about it. Do you think they have an
yeah.
office or no? Or do you think they work from home?
I think they work from home. Oh,
Of
they have a
course.
headquarter actually. They have
Yeah,
headquarters
well, everyone has their
in,
headquarters.
well, I'm not sure where it is. Probably in Paris or Switzerland. That's just me guessing. Anybody with a headquarters in
Switzerland makes
Paris or
sense.
Switzerland, yeah, it means they don't have an office.
Yeah, literally.
Nobody goes there. They go
Absolutely.
there for awards.
Absolutely.
They go there for awards. They go there for rule change. They go there to discuss
Yeah.
the shares and profits.
Yeah, that's it.
You know, whenever
Once a
they're
year,
doing
the big bosses link up.
like a GM kind of meeting, that's when they go there.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
That's it.
how much money did we make this year? That kind of thing.
Hmm.
So I don't
That's
think they
it.
have like
Okay, good.
proper offices in different places. It's just the head
Ah, no
office.
way. Of course. Of course. All right, cool. Let's finish it there. All right, that's the pod. Thanks, everyone. See you next week.
Nice one. Peace.
Peace.